Today in the Pipeline vlog, the topic you all wanted to hear about, how to draw backgrounds without a ruler. There are all sorts of different kinds of comic book artists, to be true. We have all sorts of extremes when it comes to drawing backgrounds. Most artists don't like drawing them at all, and some often don't draw them at all. You have those who draw them with precise technical detail. Picture Gerhard drawing Cerebus, or Francois Skyton drawing just about anything, where he draws all the cross-hatching, all the fine technical details. Every line is perfect and straight, or orthogonal, or perpendicular. It's all got perfect perspective. It is glorious, beautiful stuff, and I love it to pieces. Today's comic artists, a lot of them, when they draw backgrounds, use SketchUp, which is a 3D art program which allows you to draw, room walls and bookcases and furniture and all sorts of things that comic artists, generally speaking, hate to draw and just slow them down. As a tool for getting the monthly comic book out, SketchUp is a beautiful thing. It also, in many ways, is completely overused, and now you can see it in far too many comics, and they kind of jump out at you. But we have that. Then you have the case of Jean-Claude Mezieres. For those of you who don't know who that is, he's the guy who draws Valerian and Laureline, which is going to be a movie this next week. And he draws these imaginative, detailed backgrounds, you think when you first look at it, and they are often busy. But then when you zoom in, you realize something funny. And I noticed this when I was reading a later Valerian volume, a couple of them from the 1990s, for example. Now, don't forget, Valerian started 50 years ago. Literally 50 years, 1967 it started. He was still drawing it into the 90s. He drew 22 books or so. And in the 90s, being older and having drawn it for a long time, 30 years, 40 years into his drawing career, things got a little bit looser. The characters got a little cartoonier. The backgrounds got a little less detailed. So I thought, when I looked at the backgrounds, this is probably just a product of age. It happens to a lot of artists. They get a little bit less detail-oriented. In part, that's just because they're more confident with their lines and what they're drawing, and they don't feel the need to fill up every inch. I think part of it might also be because their eyesight's going, and they don't want to stare that close up at the page forever. But in the case of Jean-Claude Mezieres, I took a look at a couple of the backgrounds from those later volumes and noticed that he's drawing this background architecture and doesn't draw a single straight line. He can draw an entire city with lots of buildings, with roads, with light posts, with ships coming off of the streets, and there's not a single straight line. The guy is not using a ruler. So next time you hear somebody say, "I can't draw a straight line if you handed me a ruler," neither can comics legend Jean-Claude Mezieres. So I went back, and now I'm reading earlier in the Valerian series. I'm actually reading volume 7 right now. And I took a look at the background. The background is much more detailed. It's got some more sort of cross-hatching in the shadow work. It's got a little more detail on some of the windows. It's got more buildings going off into the background. But you know what? Zoom in on it. There's no straight lines. Everything is hand-drawn. I don't know if he drew all the straight lines with a blue pencil first and then kind of just very carefully went over them with ink freehand. I don't know, but there you have it. You can indeed draw a background without a ruler and get away with it. And you won't even notice it. I bet you if I didn't point this out, you would have gone your entire life, as many of you have read Valerian, which here in North America is a small club of us. You may not have ever noticed this, and now I'm sorry, but you're going to notice it every time you look at it. And part of it, I have to think, comes from the fact that when the original art gets shrunk down a little bit, it tightens everything up. A lot of artists have come to rely on that over the years, and that helps make the art look a little, tighter, looks a little straighter automatically. And some of it is just that it's backgrounds. We, generally speaking, don't stare at it, don't stare at the backgrounds in that exacting a detail. So you can get away with it. Not that getting away with it. He's putting in lots of time, obviously. The architecture is there. The perspective is still there. The lines are still there. They're just not always perfectly straight, and that's okay. You don't need a T-square, a French curve, which wouldn't be a straight line, but you get my point, or any of the normal tools to pull that off, and it looks pretty good, I think. So that's just the kind of random thing I'm thinking about today. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe below. I need a few subscribers so I can get my vanity domain name here on YouTube, and that would make me very happy. I need a bunch of you more to subscribe. So please tell all your friends. And join me at pipelinecomics.com as we have more Valerian reviews coming up this week leading into the movie. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Augie De Blieck, and I'll see you again real soon.